Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive, this time into Danielle Town's Invested.
Oh, this is a good one.
It is, right. And this whole idea of financial freedom, I feel like that's the holy grail for so many people.
It is.
And it's interesting because this book is, and our deep dive is going to be about way more than just like picking stocks or.
Absolutely.
It's really about like Danielle's journey of learning from her dad, Phil Town, who's like a big name. I think you probably know him, in value investing.
Oh, yeah.
It's her journey, but it's also teaching us how to kind of master our mindset around money as much as like the actual nuts and bolts of investing.
Yeah, and I think that that's such a cool aspect of this book because so many personal finance books kind of focus on budgets and cutting back and at the very practical side of things.
Yeah.
Which is great, but what's so fascinating about Invested is how it tackles these sort of like hidden anxieties and almost like these like sometimes even traumas that we all have around money, especially invested. And a lot of people, much like Danielle at the beginning of the book, just feel totally overwhelmed, like they can't even approach it.
Yeah.
And so I think Invested does a beautiful job of like breaking down those barriers and showing us that anyone can do this. It's like a step-by-step guide to like to mastering your money.
Yeah, and I think even in the first couple chapters, and this is one thing I love about her writing style, it's very like anecdotal and very personal, and she really is taking us along on her journey.
Yeah.
Like literally. And so she talks about, for example, how like her parents' divorce when she was a kid really shaped her view of money.
Right.
And like the anxieties that she carried around it for years.
Yeah, and it became this underlying thing that she had to unpack before she could even like begin to think about investing.
Yes.
And I think so many people can relate to that.
Oh, 100%.
Whether it's, childhood experiences or even like societal messages that we absorb, we all have these preconceived notions about money that can really hold us back. And so I think the book, brilliantly points this out, that until you deal with that, it's like trying to build a house on shaky ground.
Yeah.
And she really highlights that we have to address these things, before we can move forward.
So I love how you put that shaky ground.
Great.
Because I think that that's so true. And it makes me think about like you could have all the best investing strategies in the world, but if you don't have that solid foundation,
right,
if your mindset's not right,
you're going to sabotage yourself.
Exactly. You're going to self-sabotage. You're going to make emotional decisions.
Totally.
And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, here's where, for me at least in the book, things started getting really exciting.
Okay.
So she talks about, or her dad, I should say, Phil, he talks about this concept of like the private jet level difference.
Okay.
And that's his way of saying that, when you look at people who have invested consistently over time, like at the long haul, they literally reach a whole other level of wealth than people who don't.
Right.
And so that's a vivid image, right? The private jet level.
Totally.
But it really kind of like, hammers home the point that you don't have to be like a millionaire to start with to build serious wealth. You just have to start early.
You need time.
Yeah.
Time.
Consistency. And even if you're just investing small amounts, it's that consistency over time, like
that snowball effect.
The magic of compounding. It's like, it's truly, it's almost unbelievable, but it's real. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's hard to wrap your head around.
It is hard to wrap your head around.
Until you see the numbers and you like play with a compound interest calculator or something.
You're like, whoa.
Then it hits you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's also really interesting how he ties this into the concept of inflation.
Yeah.
Because like we often think about growing our money, right? But he really emphasizes that inflation is like this silent thief that's constantly chipping away at the value of our savings.
It's true.
And so investing isn't just a choice, it's like a necessity to outpace inflation.
To stay ahead.
To stay ahead the game.
Save the game.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, like it's not enough to just save.
Yeah.
You got to put your money to work.
Absolutely.
And that's where investing comes in.
And I think that's a shift for a lot of people.
Yes.
They're used to thinking like, okay, save.
Put it in the bank.
Put it in the bank, yeah. But it's not enough in today's world.
Yeah.
You really have to think about like how to make your money grow.
Right.
And beat inflation.
Beat inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is scary for some people.
It is.
But also like can be really exciting.
Yes. Exciting. Yeah.
So, I mean, the whole book Really, like the whole philosophy behind it is built around this principle
Mm-hmm.
that Phil calls rule #1 investing.
Yeah.
And it boils down to this. And it's deceptively simple,
Mm-hmm.
but so powerful.
Yeah.
Don't lose money.
Yeah, classic Warren Buffett.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's obviously popularized this, but it sounds simple,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually like a profound principle.
It is.
For managing risk, right? It's about protecting your capital first and foremost.
First and foremost.
Right, before you even start thinking about making big returns.
Yeah, and it kind of goes against like the typical Wall Street mentality of like buy low, sell high.
Yeah, right.
You know, like it's much more about preservation and being really smart about how you deploy your capital.
It's like building a fortress around your money, right?
It is like a moat.
Ooh.
That's a good segue.
You see? I didn't even plan that.
I know.
But speaking of moats, like how do you actually go about finding these wonderful businesses, like the ones that are going to, make you money, make you sleep well at night?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where the whole idea of moats comes in, which is so central to Phil Town's approach. And, it's this idea of like you have a castle and it's protected by this deep moat.
Okay.
Right. And in business, a moat represents a company's, durable competitive advantage.
Okay.
It's what allows them to consistently outperform their rivals.
Okay, so what makes for a strong moat?
Right.
Can you give me some, examples?
Sure. So there are, 5 main types of moats that Phil talks about.
Okay.
You have brand moats, secret moats, toll bridge moats, switching moats, and price moats.
Okay, I'm already feeling
overwhelmed.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take some examples, right?
Okay.
So think about a company like Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
They have this incredible brand recognition that's almost impossible for competitors to replicate.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, all over the world.
Yeah.
You see that logo, you know what it is.
Yeah. It's iconic.
It's iconic.
Right.
That's a massive moat right there.
Yeah. Okay. So strong brands can be a moat.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I'm just thinking, even strong brands, sometimes they kind of falter, right?
Absolutely.
Like, look what happened to Nokia. I mean, they pretty much owned the mobile phone market for a while.
Yeah.
And then, poof.
Gone.
Right. Yeah.
Gone. So, I mean, the point is, right?
Yeah.
No moat is invincible.
Right.
Right. And that's why it's crucial to constantly analyze, the competitive landscape. What are the potential threats?
Yeah.
Where are the weaknesses? Because, even the strongest companies can be disrupted.
Right. And I think that this reminds me, this whole conversation, of something that Danielle mentions in the book. She's a lawyer, right? But even she found financial statements, intimidating at first.
Wow, of course.
And I'm thinking, if someone with her background struggles, how's the average person going to grasp this stuff?
Right. It's definitely a common fear.
Right.
Like people look at those numbers and they just shut down.
Yeah.
Their eyes glaze over.
Totally.
But the key is to break it down. You don't have to become a financial expert overnight.
Okay.
Right. Start with the basics.
Okay.
Like understanding how a company generates profits. How to read a balance sheet, an income statement. And Danielle, eventually mastered this.
Oh,
and if she can, anyone can.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what's so great about Invested. It's like a journey, just like Danielle's journey.
Yep.
And it takes you from novice to, knowledgeable investor step by step.
I love that. So let's break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's take Coca-Cola, since that's kind of the classic example. What, in your view, are some of the strengths and weaknesses? If we were to analyze them through this lens of moats.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously their global brand recognition, we talked about that. That's a huge strength. I mean, it's synonymous with happiness and good times and refreshment.
Yeah.
Right. And that kind of positive association is incredibly valuable.
Okay.
So that's definitely a big plus.
Okay.
However,
Uh-oh.
they also face, some significant challenges.
Okay.
Particularly with health trends.
Oh, right. That sugar.
All that sugar.
Right.
And so that's something they have to be very mindful of. And, they're actively managing their portfolio. To address those challenges, they've acquired brands like Vitamin Water, Honest Tea, to try to cater
I
to
like it.
those changing tastes.
Okay. A
So,
smart move.
right, they're adapting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so brand obviously is one moat.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned, other types, like
Yeah.
switching moats.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, so think about Apple, right?
Okay.
I mean, their products are everywhere.
Yeah, they're ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely have a strong brand.
Okay.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but also what we call a switching mode.
Okay.
Like once you're locked into their ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
You have your iPhone,
Yeah.
your iPad, your
Yep.
MacBook.
Yeah.
It's a real pain
Yeah.
to like switch to Android or Windows.
Right.
You lose all your
You'll
data,
lose all your stuff.
your apps,
Mhm.
and that smooth integration
Yeah.
that they're famous for.
Okay. Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so locked into the Apple ecosystem
Yeah.
that even thinking about switching
Yeah.
makes my head spin.
Right. It's a pain.
It's a pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Apple switching moat.
But of course, they're not unbeatable.
Right. Of course not.
The smartphone market
Yeah.
is incredibly competitive,
Right.
and technology
Yeah.
is always evolving.
Mhm.
So, companies like Samsung,
Great.
they're constantly innovating.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's a major hurdle today
Yeah.
might be like trivial tomorrow.
Right.
But for now, their moats seem pretty strong.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you got to keep watching,
Keep watching.
keep analyzing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all this talk about like moats
Mm.
and competition is making me think of like this other piece of it, which is like, aligning your investments
No.
with your values, which is
Mhm.
something that Danielle, really emphasizes in the book.
Absolutely.
And it's, like it's one thing to find a company that's got a great moat
Mhm.
and you think is going to, do well financially.
Right.
But if it's like, contributing to the, destruction of the planet
Yeah.
or something like that,
Right.
then, maybe you don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of like what she calls mission-driven investing, right?
Yeah.
Is that it's not just about profits.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding companies that are making a positive impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that really resonated with her because it kept her motivated.
Yeah.
It aligned with
It gave her a why.
It gave her a why. Exactly.
Right.
It wasn't just about
It wasn't just about making money.
making money. Right?
Yeah.
It was about
Yeah.
making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
With your money.
yeah. And I think that's so powerful because it helps you stay, engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps you from making,
Mm-hmm.
Impulsive decisions based on fear or greed.
Well, there you go.
Right.
Because let's face it, like the market can be
Terrifying.
terrifying.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it is a roller coaster.
Fear and greed, I feel like, are just like driving so much of the decision making out there.
Absolutely.
How do you navigate?
It's all psychology.
It is. It's all psychology. How do you navigate that?
I mean, that's where I think like understanding a little bit about behavioral economics
Ooh.
is so helpful,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And understanding like what the efficient market hypothesis is,
Oh, tell me about that.
which basically says that, at any given time, stock prices reflect all available information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically saying like you can't beat the market.
Okay, I'm guessing there's more to this story than that.
There is.
Okay, because like behavioral economics comes in and says like, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
humans aren't rational.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Definitely not.
Right. Not when it comes to money, at least.
Right. Exactly. Especially when it comes to money. And so our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
like our fear, our greed, our like overconfidence,
Yeah.
it leads us to make irrational decisions.
Yeah.
Right? And so
And that creates opportunity.
it creates inefficiencies
And efficiency.
in the market
Yeah.
that savvy investors can exploit.
So the market isn't always logical.
No.
It's driven by
Human behavior.
human behavior with
Yeah.
all its quirks and inconsistencies.
Absolutely.
Okay, tell me more about like some of these behavioral economics ideas. They sound like a secret weapon.
They are. They are. I mean, think about like economists like Robert Shiller,
Okay.
right? And his work on like irrational exuberance
Mm-hmm.
showed how like speculative bubbles
Driven by emotions can inflate
Mhm.
markets far beyond like their real value.
Right.
And then you have Daniel Kahneman,
Mhm.
who studied like the psychology of decision making
Mm-hmm.
and like really revealed all the biases that trip us up, even when we think we're being rational. We're not.
So understanding all this
can give you an edge.
Can give you an edge, absolutely.
Okay.
Because by recognizing your own biases and understanding how emotions move the market, you can avoid those pitfalls and make more informed decisions.
Okay, so this is about becoming
a more disciplined, emotionally intelligent investor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. All right, so we've got the emotional side, we've got the business side, we've got, these principles of rule #1 investing. But there's still that fear, right?
Yeah. Like crashes, volatility.
How's it going to happen?
Oh, yeah, it happens.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time, yeah.
So how do you build a portfolio that can, withstand those inevitable, market storms? That's got to be the question, right?
Right, and that's where the idea of, what Phil called an anti-fragile portfolio comes in.
Oh, anti-fragile.
Right.
I like that word.
It's not just about, surviving the storm.
Yeah.
It's about thriving in volatile conditions.
Okay, I'm intrigued, so tell me the secrets. What are the secrets of the anti-fragile portfolio?
So it's really about diversification.
Okay.
And what he calls a passive-aggressive strategy.
Okay, diversification. I get that, right?
Spread your bets.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, okay.
Spread your investments across different asset classes, different industries, different geographies.
Right.
So you're not overly exposed to any one particular risk.
Okay, and the passive-aggressive part.
So that's about being patient and waiting for opportunities to buy great companies at a discount when the market dips.
Okay, I like that.
Right.
So even when everybody else is freaking out, you're like, ooh, bargain.
Opportunities knocking.
Yeah, opportunities knocking.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to have a plan then.
Yes.
You have to have a wish list, I think she calls it.
Of thoroughly researched companies that you'd love to own.
Okay.
And then you have a buying plan.
Okay.
For different price points.
Okay, I like that.
So
so you're ready.
You're ready when those opportunities arise.
Okay, so that emotional discipline, right?
Huge.
Sticking to the plan. Even when everybody else is
losing their heads.
Losing their heads. That's got to be that's the hard part.
It is. It's so much about psychology.
Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit more in control just from this conversation alone.
Good.
But what about the other side of it? Selling.
Oh, yeah.
When do you let go?
Right.
I mean, especially if it's something that, maybe has done well for you.
Right.
You're kind of emotionally attached.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really tricky.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, in rule #1 investing, the goal is really to find these wonderful businesses and hold them for the long haul.
Okay.
So selling is actually rare.
Okay.
Right? But there are definitely situations where it makes sense.
Okay, so what are some of those situations? Give me some red flags.
All right. So one thing to look for is what's called basis reduction.
Basis reduction.
Which happens through dividends and stock buybacks.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
And essentially what that does is it lowers the quote-unquote price you paid for a stock over time.
Wait, explain that to me a little bit more. How do dividends and buybacks lower the quote-unquote price?
Okay, so imagine this. When a company pays dividends, you're receiving a portion of their profits, right?
Okay.
And so that lowers your effective cost per share.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
And then when a company buys back stock, it reduces the number of outstanding shares, which boosts the value of your remaining shares.
Okay.
So you're essentially getting
a bigger piece of the pie.
A bigger piece of a smaller pie.
Okay, so even if the stock price stays flat, you're increasing.
You're increasing your ownership.
Yeah.
And your potential returns.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little bonus.
Yeah. Okay, but not all dividends and buybacks are created equal, right?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, some companies could be using that just to
manipulate the stock price.
Manipulate the stock price.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to be careful.
You got to look under the hood.
Yeah.
And understand what's really going on.
Oh, okay. So basis reduction is one thing to watch for. What else should we be thinking about when we're considering selling.
I think the most important thing
Mm.
is to really invert the story,
Okay.
meaning like identify
Mm.
the potential threats
Yeah.
to the company's future success.
Okay.
Like what could go wrong,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
What are the biggest risks,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And by understanding the potential downsides,
Yeah.
you can decide like, okay,
Yeah.
does my original investment thesis
Yeah.
still hold true?
So even when like things are going great, one of the things that really resonated with me in Invested is how Danielle discovers this concept of voting with your dollars.
Yeah.
It's like she realized that she had this power to support companies that aligned with her personal values.
Absolutely.
You know?
The powerful idea.
Yeah.
Like imagine if every investor
Yeah.
consciously chose
Yeah.
companies that were doing good in the world.
Yeah.
What a force for change that would be.
Absolutely, yeah. But how do you actually find those mission-driven companies? Like,
Right.
do you have to sacrifice profits for principles?
That's the myth, right?
Yeah.
And she really emphasizes
Yeah.
that it's about finding companies that are doing good
Hmm.
and doing well.
Okay.
So you're combining your mission
Mm-hmm.
with solid business fundamentals.
Okay.
Look for companies that are growing,
Mm-hmm.
well managed,
Mm-hmm.
generating strong cash flow.
Okay. So it's like finding that sweet spot
Yeah,
where
it's-
your values
Mhm.
and your financial goals intersect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do you evaluate a company's mission? I mean, that seems kind of subjective.
It is.
Right.
It is subjective. And that's why it's so important to align it with your own values.
Right.
So, start by identifying like what are the causes that you care about?
Yeah.
Is it environmental sustainability?
Mm.
Is it social justice?
Mm-hmm.
Is it ethical labor practices?
Mm.
Like that, whatever speaks to you personally.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And then, do the research on specific companies.
Right. Go beyond the marketing.
Go beyond the market.
Yeah.
Make sure they actually
Like walk the walk.
walk the walk.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Look at their track record,
Mhm.
their
Yeah.
policies,
Mhm.
how they treat their employees,
Mhm.
the environment.
Mm.
No company is perfect,
Right.
but you're looking for the ones that are making a genuine effort
Okay.
to align with those values.
Okay, so mission-driven investing. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole conversation has me thinking, like, Danielle's journey is about so much more
It is.
than just picking stocks.
Right. Yeah.
It's about personal growth. It's about self-discovery. It's about finding purpose.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Like, it's really about transformation on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
Not just financially, but also emotionally
Mm-hmm.
and personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and talk about like the crazy stock price swings, the market psychology. Like, if you could figure that out, you'd be
We'd be golden.
golden, right?
Yeah.
But it's so hard to predict.
It is. It is. And again, I think this is where behavioral economics comes in.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all about understanding, like how emotions and biases
Mm-hmm.
can lead to irrational decisions.
Right.
And often cause those market swings that you're talking about.
Give me some examples. Like, what are some of the behavioral quirks that can like trip us up?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
So many. Loss aversion is a classic one.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
Like people feel the pain of a loss much more strongly
Mm-hmm.
than the joy of an equivalent gain.
Oh, that's so true.
Right. So they might hold on to a losing investment,
Oh yeah.
hoping it'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Even when logic says,
cut your losses.
cut your losses, get out.
Yeah. It's like you're emotionally attached to that stock,
Totally.
even though it's like dragging down your whole portfolio.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's the bandwagon effect, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
tendency to like
Follow the crowd.
follow the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this can create like bubbles
Mm-hmm.
and crashes.
Right.
Because people are just like buying or selling
Right.
what other people are doing,
Yeah, not their own analysis.
not their own
Yeah.
analysis.
Yeah, it's a stampede.
Financial stampede.
Financial stampede, right?
Yeah. Everyone's running in the same direction, not even knowing where they're going.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, what else should we be watching for?
Overconfidence bias is a big one.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Where investors overestimate their abilities,
Oh, yeah.
their knowledge,
Yeah.
and this can lead them to take on way more risk than they should.
Right, right.
And this can be especially dangerous, like in a volatile market.
Okay, so how do you avoid falling into these behavioral traps? Like, it's like you need a mental shield.
You do. You do.
Right.
And I think
Protect yourself.
the best defense is a clear investment plan.
Okay.
Right.
So set specific goals, understand your risk tolerance, and establish like really clear buying and selling criteria.
Okay, great.
So you have that roadmap
That's your roadmap.
through all the emotional ups and downs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so it's about having that plan.
The plan
And sticking to it.
Sticking to it no matter what.
No matter what the market throws your way.
No matter what, yeah.
Easier said than done, though, right?
It takes practice.
Yeah.
But the rewards are worth it.
Okay.
You know? Like, investing is a long game.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in the daily fluctuations.
Yeah.
Right? Find quality businesses that you believe in.
Okay.
And let time work its magic.
Okay, let's get practical.
Okay.
Like, we talked about these wonderful businesses, with the moats.
The moats.
Right. We've talked about, like, the psychology,
The mental game, but, like, how do you actually, like, build that anti-fragile portfolio that can, like, thrive?
Thrive, yeah.
In any market. Like, where do you even begin?
Right. Well, it starts with those wish lists we talked about.
Okay.
Right. So identifying like exceptional companies. Right. The ones that have the strong moats, the great management, the mission you believe in.
Okay.
Like build your dream team of companies, right?
I like that. A dream team of companies.
Your A team.
Yeah, the A team.
Of stocks.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got your A team, you've got your dream team.
Yeah.
But then, like, what's the next step?
Well, then you need a buying plan.
Okay.
For each company.
Okay.
So figure out, like, what's your entry point? What's the price you're willing to pay?
Right.
Based on your valuation analysis.
And this is where I think a lot of people, like,
get scared.
They get scared. They get overwhelmed.
Right.
Yeah, valuation.
Yeah, it can seem intimidating.
It can seem intimidating.
Right. All those numbers.
Spreadsheets, yeah.
All those formulas.
Yeah, but Danielle shows us that it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Right. She started with very limited financial knowledge, and she learned to confidently value companies.
Okay.
And she breaks it down in the book.
Yeah.
Into manageable steps.
Okay.
Using simple tools.
Okay.
That anyone can learn.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so one of the tools is the 10 cap price.
Okay, the 10 cap price.
Right.
Okay.
So the idea is that if you buy a company for a price that's 10 times its annual owner earnings.
Owner earnings.
You're getting a great deal.
Remind me what owner earnings are.
Okay, so owner earnings, think of it as like the real cash flow that the company generates.
Right. So the money that the owner can pocket.
Okay.
If they own the whole business.
Okay.
It's a more accurate measure of profitability.
Okay.
Than net income, which can be manipulated by accounting tricks.
Okay, so 10 cap price gives you a benchmark.
It gives you like a benchmark for a bargain price.
Okay.
Okay,
what else? What other tools did she use?
Another one is the payback time.
Payback time.
So you calculate like how long it would take for the company's free cash flow to pay back your initial investment.
Okay.
And she suggests aiming for a payback time of 8 years or less.
So it's like a built-in timer almost?
It is. Like how quickly could this investment pay off?
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Yeah. But these are all like starting points, right?
Starting points.
I mean, you really have
to... You have to understand the business.
Yeah.
Like what's the intrinsic value?
Yeah.
And develop your own judgment.
Develop your own judgment.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm feeling more and more confident about this whole valuation thing. But even if you find like a great company at a great price.
Yeah.
There's still
market volatility.
Market volatility.
That's the wild card.
It is. The market just seems to have a mind of its own.
It does.
Sometimes.
It does.
So how do you handle that?
Right. Well, one strategy that Phil talks about is called tranching.
Okay, tranching.
Right. So instead of buying your whole position at
Okay.
once,
Yeah.
you divide it into smaller tranches
Okay.
and buy gradually over time.
So you're kind of dipping your toe in the water?
Dipping your toe, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of jumping in head first.
Instead of cannonballing.
Cannonballing, right?
Okay.
Which lowers your risk
Okay.
of buying at the absolute peak. Right. And plus, if the stock drops after your initial purchase,
Yeah.
you can buy more
Oh.
at a lower price.
Okay.
So it's win-win.
Win-win.
Yeah.
It's like having that safety net built in.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Okay. But even with all that, like even with all that planning and that preparation, like it can still be emotionally intense, right?
Absolutely.
It's like how do you stay calm
Right.
when the market's going haywire?
Yeah, well, and that's something Danielle really struggled with, right? Because, like, it's one thing to have the knowledge,
Yeah.
but it's another to actually
Put it into practice.
put it into practice.
Yeah.
When your money's on the line,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so
So that emotional discipline.
that emotional discipline,
Yeah.
it's huge. And one of the biggest takeaways she got from her dad was just like the importance
Yeah.
of controlling your emotions and not letting fear or greed
Right.
take over.
Yeah.
You know, trust your research. Stick to your plan. Remember that market fluctuations are normal.
Yeah, that's hard though.
It is.
Right.
Because like you need nerves of steel
Yeah, you do.
to ride out those storms.
Yeah, and I think like some things that helped her were, like practice.
Okay.
Right? Like the more you do it,
Mm-hmm.
the more comfortable you become
Okay.
with the ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
And also like really focusing on the long term. Like remind yourself, like, why did you invest in the first place?
yeah.
What are your goals?
Okay.
Don't get lost
Don't get caught up.
in the day-to-day noise.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like zoom out.
Zoom out.
Look at the fundamentals of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the long-term growth potential.
Right. Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Oh.
Right. And the market tends to reward patience.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people who can weather those storms and stay focused.
Yeah.
Are the ones that ultimately succeed.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the strategy, the numbers, the valuation, all that.
Right.
But let's shift and really focus on Danielle's like personal experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, remember, she's starting with zero
investing experience. Yeah.
And she's literally like going through this transformation, not only with like her like financial outlook, but like her whole mindset around money.
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And what's so cool is that she's so honest about her struggles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she's a lawyer. She's used to
complex stuff.
complex concepts.
Yeah.
But even she finds financial statements like intimidating at first. Right. And I think that's so relatable.
It is
for so many people.
It is, yeah.
Right? Like it proves that anyone can learn this stuff. Even starting from scratch. Right?
Yeah.
And she even talks about how she initially resisted investing.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Like she would rather like hoard her money.
Yeah, yeah.
Or just hand it over to a financial advisor.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that echoes the feelings of so many people who just feel overwhelmed by the financial world.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So walk me through like some of the specific steps she takes, like as she starts to create this investing practice. It's almost like a training regimen.
It is. It's a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the first things she does is she sets up like a dedicated investing space.
Right.
She talks about like needing a physical environment that supports her practice.
Okay.
Yeah. Free from distractions, filled with things that inspire her.
It's like creating a sanctuary.
Yes.
For your financial well-being.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Right. And she puts pictures.
Oh, I love this.
Of her dad and Warren Buffett.
Yes. In
her office.
To keep her inspired.
To remind her of her goals.
Okay.
Okay,
but let's be real. Like even with those reminders, like staring at financial statements all day long, that can get dry.
Boring.
boring. Like, she even admits
Yeah.
to, like, struggling.
Yeah, she's like, this is not fun.
Yeah, with motivation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does she overcome that?
Well, and that's where I think the mission-driven investing piece really kicks in, right?
Okay.
Because when you're aligning your investments with your values,
Yeah.
it helps you stay engaged and motivated.
It gives you that why.
It gives you that why, exactly.
Right.
And so it's not just
It's more than just numbers.
it's more than just numbers, it's about
Yeah.
making a positive impact.
Okay, so she's found her why.
Yeah.
She's dealing with the motivation, but like, how does she actually find
Yeah.
these wonderful businesses?
Right.
Like, it seems like finding a needle in a haystack.
It does. It does. And she talks about
Yeah.
using a few different strategies.
Okay.
One is she starts with her own knowledge
Okay.
and interests, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she thinks about, like, what are the products and services
Mm-hmm.
that she uses and enjoys,
Mm-hmm.
and then she researches
Okay.
the companies behind them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So, she's already a customer. So she has some insight
Yeah, okay.
into those businesses.
Okay.
And then she also, learns from her gurus, right?
Mm.
So she reads a lot about
Okay.
successful investors,
Right.
like Warren Buffett,
Yeah.
Charlie Munger.
Yeah, those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And she kind of tries to understand
Mm.
like how they think,
Yeah.
how they approach investing.
Okay, so it's a combination of like personal insight
Mm-hmm.
and then like guidance from experts.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, what else does she do?
And she really emphasizes
Yeah.
reading like annual reports,
Okay.
industry publications,
Mm-hmm.
books on investing.
Mm-hmm.
She really immerses herself
Mm-hmm.
in the world of finance
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just like absorbs as much information as she can.
Okay, so as she's doing that, her knowledge base is growing, right? And so she's able to like evaluate,
And her circle of competence expands.
a wider range of companies.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, but at some point she's got to like make those investment decisions.
Yeah, she's got to pull the trigger.
Right.
Yeah.
She's got to pull the trigger.
And that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Where those valuation skills really come into play.
Yeah.
And she takes those tools that we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
the 10 cap price, the payback time, the margin of safety,
Mm-hmm.
and she applies them
Mm-hmm.
to real companies,
Yeah.
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 And she has to make those tough decisions
Yeah.
about whether to invest.
That must be like nerve-wracking.
It is.
Like going from
Novice
to actually, making these choices.
making real choices. Yeah.
So how does she deal with that?
Well, I mean, she admits to feeling the fear,
Yeah. Yeah.
but she doesn't let it paralyze her,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
She trusts her research. She relies
Mm-hmm.
on the principles that she's learned,
Mm-hmm.
and she takes a calculated risk.
Okay, so it's about having that plan,
Having a plan,
being prepared,
being prepared,
and then just like taking that leap of faith.
taking the leap. Yeah.
Okay.
And remember, she starts small,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't
bet the farm
bet the farm.
on her first investment.
Right. Right.
Yeah. She starts with like a manageable amount.
Yeah. She starts with something she's comfortable with.
Yeah.
And then gradually
Fine.
build her portfolio as her
Yeah.
confidence grows.
That's a great lesson for anyone,
It is.
new to investing. It's
Yeah.
like start small.
Start small.
Take baby steps. You don't have to like make these big risky bets right away.
No.
Okay, so what else helps her kind of navigate those early days?
Well, I mean, her dad, obviously,
Right, she's got Phil.
she's got Phil as her
Right.
mentor,
Yeah.
right? Guiding her, supporting her
Yeah.
throughout the process.
Yeah.
And she also creates like what she calls a fantasy portfolio,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's this way to like practice
Okay.
buying and selling stocks
Yeah,
without risking real money.
without risking real money.
Right.
Yeah.
And this lets her like get comfortable with the mechanics
Mm-hmm.
and build her confidence.
Okay, so it's like a financial training ground.
It is a safe space to experiment,
Yeah.
to make mistakes,
Okay, that's cool.
without any real world consequences.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about how she picks the companies, how she kind of deals with the emotional side.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole like market volatility piece.
Oh, yeah, that roller coaster.
It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It is a wild ride.
Yep.
How does she deal with that?
Well, her dad, Phil, he teaches her that market fluctuations are they're inevitable.
Yeah.
They're going to happen.
Yeah.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game.
And the key is to not let those short-term swings, derail your long-term goals.
It's about keeping that long-term perspective.
Exactly.
Right. Not getting swept up.
Not getting swept up in the daily drama of the market.
Yeah. Okay.
And remember,
Yeah.
like the market has a tendency to reward patience.
Okay.
It's the people who can weather the storms and stay focused,
Mm-hmm.
who often come out ahead.
I like that. Okay, let's talk about like I think another one of the challenging things is like knowing when to sell.
Yeah.
You found this amazing company.
Yeah.
You've watched it grow.
Yeah.
But like at what point do you say goodbye?
Ooh. That's the ultimate test of an investor's discipline,
Yeah.
right? Because remember, in Rule #1 Investing, the goal is to find these wonderful businesses and hold them for the long term.
Yeah.
So selling is really the exception, not the rule.
So when does it actually make sense to sell? Like what are the signs?
Right. Well, I think the biggest red flag
Mm-hmm.
is if there's been a fundamental change in the story.
Ooh.
Right. So you want to reassess like the company's moat,
Mm-hmm.
the management, the financial performance.
Correct.
Ask yourself, are those competitive advantages
Yeah.
still there?
Okay.
Is management still making
Yeah, are they still making good decisions?
good decisions?
Right.
Are the financials still strong?
It's like a relationship checkup.
It is. It is.
Right. Like, are things still good?
Yeah.
Or have things changed?
Yeah. Has the magic gone?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
And if the story's changed for the worse,
Mm.
if the company's no longer that wonderful business,
Yeah.
it once was, then it might be time to say goodbye,
Yeah.
even if it's been a great performer.
Even if you've made a lot of money.
Even if you've made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard though sometimes emotionally
It is
to like let go of that.
to let go.
Yeah.
But you have to be
You have to be honest with yourself.
honest with yourself
Yeah.
and recognize
Mm-hmm.
when it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And selling doesn't mean you made a mistake
No, not at all.
initially. Right?
Yeah. It just means things have changed.
Right.
And it's time to reallocate
Mm-hmm.
your capital
Yeah.
to a more promising
Yeah.
opportunity.
Okay. I like that. It's like it's you're constantly evaluating
You constantly evaluate.
your portfolio,
Yeah.
making sure your money is working
Working hard for you.
as hard as it can.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
the CEO of your financial future.
I love that.
Right. And that means
Yeah.
making tough decisions,
Yeah.
even if they're emotionally challenging.
Okay. Well said. Well said. I mean, let's be honest though, even with all this knowledge,
Yeah.
investing has a certain level of uncertainty. I mean, you can't
You can't predict the future.
No. Okay.
No crystal ball.
No crystal ball. So how do you deal with that, like that inherent risk?
Yeah, and that's where margin of safety
Mm.
really shines,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's about buying companies
Mm-hmm.
at a significant discount
Okay.
to their intrinsic value.
Okay.
And that gives you a buffer
Yeah.
for unexpected events. Or, even if you're wrong
Yeah.
in your analysis,
It's like having that cushion.
it's like a cushion, a safety net,
Yeah.
right? And the greater the margin of safety,
Mm-hmm.
the lower your risk.
Okay.
It's like buying a car with airbags
Yeah.
and anti-lock brakes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. You're still taking a risk driving, but you've taken steps
You've mitigated the risks.
to mitigate that risk.
Okay. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That makes it so much more like concrete. But how do you determine like what the margin of safety should be? I mean, that seems kind of subjective too.
It is. There are a few like different methods,
Mhm.
but one simple approach
Mhm.
is to buy a company
Yeah.
at least 50%
Okay.
below your estimated intrinsic value.
So you're getting like a 50% discount
Getting a 50% discount.
on a wonderful business.
Exactly. And that's
Okay.
what makes Rule #1 Investing so powerful.
Okay.
Right. It's about finding those rare opportunities
Yeah.
where the price is so attractive
Okay.
that the potential rewards
Yeah.
far outweigh
Right.
the risk.
And this reminds me of this whole thing of something else Danielle talks about, which is like the role of patience
Oh,
in
huge,
investing, right?
huge.
It's like waiting for the perfect pitch, the one you can knock out of the park.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, patience is
Patience is key.
crucial.
Yeah.
It's about resisting the urge to, like, chase hot stocks.
Yeah.
Or try to time the market.
Yeah, you can't time the market.
You can't. It's about focusing on your long-term goals and waiting for those opportunities where the odds are in your favor.
Okay, so it's about being disciplined, not impulsive.
Yes.
Right. It's about being the tortoise, not the hare.
The tortoise, yeah, slow and steady
Yeah.
wins the race.
And as Warren Buffett famously said,
Oh, yeah.
the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Love that quote.
So good, right?
So good.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about, like, the strategy,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
The nuts and bolts.
the nuts and bolts, but, like, what about like the emotional side?
Yeah.
It's like you're on this financial roller coaster. Yeah.
It is. It is.
Right. And if you don't, like, hold on tight,
Yeah.
you're going to get thrown off.
You're going to get whiplash.
Yeah, you're going to get whiplash.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you manage those emotions effectively?
Yeah. And I think, what Danielle really discovers is that investing is as much about mastering your mindset as it is about mastering the numbers.
Okay.
Right. It's about understanding how your emotions influence your decisions and learning to, like, control those impulses.
Okay, so how do you actually do that? How do you tame those inner demons?
Right.
Fear and greed that can, like, sabotage your best intentions.
Yeah. Well, and one technique that she talks about is developing, like, a premortem mindset.
That sounds a little morbid.
It sounds a little morbid.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really, like, smart strategy
Right.
for anticipating problems.
And planning ahead.
Okay.
So the idea is, like, imagine
Okay.
that your investment has completely failed,
Okay.
right? And now work backward
Okay.
and try to identify all the reasons why it might have gone wrong.
It's like a mental simulation.
It is. It's like a mental simulation, a way to prepare yourself for the worst case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Like a mental fire drill.
it is, so that you're ready
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
act calmly and decisively
Okay.
if things start to heat up.
I like that.
Right.
Right.
And remember, like, the market's always going to throw you curveballs.
Yeah. Always.
Right. So the key is to have a plan. Stay disciplined.
Stay disciplined.
And not let your emotions
Yeah.
cloud your judgment.
Okay. All of this whole conversation about managing emotions makes me think of something else that she learns from her dad, which is, like, the importance of having a support system.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're on this journey and having someone to guide you, to encourage you, to hold you accountable.
To hold you accountable.
It makes all the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a crucial point.
Right.
Because investing can be lonely.
It can.
Especially if you're following, like, a value investing approach.
Yeah.
Which often requires, like, patience and discipline, right?
Yeah.
And so having, like, a mentor,
Yeah.
a trusted advisor,
Yeah.
or even just, like, a community
Yeah.
of like-minded investors
Yeah.
can provide invaluable support.
It's like having a financial coach in your corner.
Yes. Absolutely.
Someone to, like, help you stay focused, motivated.
Especially when things get tough.
Yeah.
Right. And remember, like, investing is a journey.
It is. It's a journey.
Not a destination. Yeah, well said.
Right.
So,
there are going to be ups and downs. But, with a supportive community, you're better equipped to navigate those challenges.
Yeah, those challenges.
And achieve your financial goals.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like so much more, like, empowered to, like, take control of my own financial future.
Good. That's what we want.
Right.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final, like, provocative thought.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, and this is kind of inspired by Danielle's journey. What if we approached all of our major life decisions with the same level of intention, of research, and emotional intelligence that she brought to investing.
Whoa.
Right?
That is a powerful thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you could apply those same principles
Yeah.
of analyzing risk, identifying opportunities,
Mhm.
making informed choices.
Yeah, to every aspect of your life.
Imagine approaching your career that way,
Yeah.
your relationships, your health, your personal growth,
It's a game changer.
with that same level of curiosity and diligence
Wow.
and commitment
Mm.
to long-term success.
Yeah. It's both
It's both challenging and inspiring.
challenging and inspiring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's realizing that those same skills
Yeah.
we used to make, like smart
Mm-hmm.
financial decisions,
Mm-hmm.
can help us create
Mm-hmm.
like a richer, more fulfilling life.
Yes. Yes.
Overall.
Well, it's a perfect note to end on.
I love it.
Right. Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Invested.
Yes. Thank you.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel empowered to take control of your financial future.
Absolutely.
And remember, it's not just about the numbers.
It's not.
It's about aligning your money with your values, finding your mission.
And building a life of abundance and purpose.
Absolutely.
So go forth and invest wisely,
Yes.
both in the market and in your own extraordinary life.
I love it.